Alright, what's up YouTube? So in today's short video, I'm going to answer a very important question. Is Bitcoin finally going to put in the bottom, or is this actually the start of the bear market? Let me show you what I think about that. Right, so this is the BTC USD chart on Bitstamp, and I'm gonna check a couple of levels, the most important levels that I'm watching. So as you guys probably know, we've just bounced off the 30k area. We had a crazy wick all the way down to, let's see, the low is 28,600 here on Bitstamp. Honestly, if we can't reclaim the weekly 50 EMA, which is around 33k, the 33k area is also the area where we had the previous range low. So if you go here to the 4 hour, you will see the range that we have been trading in for quite a while now, and we have now broken below this range, and we came down and we dumped straight down to the 28.3k area to pump rather quickly up to the 33k area where we are currently getting rejected. So we're using the previous range low as resistance. That's never a good thing if you're a bull, right? Using the previous range low as resistance probably means that the breakdown below the range is probably going to continue lower. Just like you have in a downtrend, you have support. When that support breaks to the downside and you have a bearish retest with rejection, it's most likely going lower. So what I'm thinking here is that the dumping is not done on Bitcoin. So if you're buying Bitcoin here, and especially, let me give you a word of advice here and a word of warning. If you think that this is the bottom just because somebody on Twitter posted that this is the bottom and you should buy alts, please be very careful with buying altcoins at these levels, because you're going to see a lot of altcoins pumping right now because of this. But as soon as Bitcoin continues lower again, you're going to see altcoins get totally killed, right? So be very careful. Do not add a stupid amount of risk at these levels. I'm going to show you where I'm going to add risk, and basically what I mean by adding risk is buying Bitcoin, right? So the most important level, or the two most important levels right here, is the 30k support and the 33k resistance, right? So let's go to the 1 hour right here. We zoom in, you see that you have a very clear resistance area right here where price just keeps testing over and over again, getting rejected. It's a very clear resistance, and if price keeps hitting this level, well, it's most likely going to break to the upside. Now the question is, if we do break to the upside, will we have a retest and a reclaim of this level as support? I really do like the fact that the weekly 50 EMA is confluent with the 33k area. This adds a lot of confluence if we break through. It of course also adds a lot of confidence and a lot of strength to this level as resistance. But as you know, a strong resistance area gets weaker with every touch. With every retest of this level as resistance, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and eventually the sellers gets exhausted and you break out. Now the strength of the level as resistance will determine the strength of that level as support. Usually a strong resistance area will act as a very strong support area once broken, right? So remember that more tests, weaker level, but stronger on the other side, right? So for proper strength to come into the market here, we need to reclaim the weekly 50 EMA confluent with this previous range low area right here. That's where I would most likely start looking for buys on Bitcoin. But it's also very important to remember here, guys, that if we do reclaim this area right here, we're only entering back into the previous range, right? So if you go to the 4 hour, you will see that this is the range low, the range EQ, which is, range EQ basically just means the middle of the range, right? EQ, equilibrium, is a fancy word for the middle of the range, and range high. So I'm thinking a reclaim of range low and might take us up to the range EQ area at around 37k. Rejection at the 37k. Well, we most likely go lower. We go back to the range low area, back down to the dangerous zone, right? However, reclaim 37k, we most likely go up to range high, which is the 40 to 41k area. Now this is where it gets very interesting. We now also have the weekly, you see this yellow dotted line right here, that's the weekly 20 EMA, a very interesting and strong moving average historically for Bitcoin. If this moves lower and gets confluent with the range EQ, it adds enormous strength to that level, and of course also because it adds strength as resistance, if we break through this level, should also add strength to it as support. So what I'm thinking is reclaim 33k, reclaim the previous range low. I go long, take some profit at 37k, take most of the profit at 40 to 41k range highs, break out of this range again, and I think we're gonna hit 50k. And this is where I think the bull market might be on again. When we have cleared this whole range to the upside, that's when I will get ready to talk about the bull market still being on. Now that's a couple of bullish scenarios for you guys. Now let's look at the bearish scenario, and it's not looking that pretty, right? It's not looking that pretty. The last line of defense before we enter the high time frame reload zone is the 30k area, right? Well, all right, so the last line of defense is actually 0.618 right here. That's the proper support before we go down to 20k, right? So if we can't hold the 30k, like we might see a wick down to the 27k area where we have the 0.618, but if we can't hold the 30k, it looks very, very bearish in my opinion. And looking at the high time frames, looking at the weekly chart right here, I actually got my eyes on the reload zone right here, and that's actually all the way from 17k up to 27k. So if we do have a proper bear market starting, which I think might very likely happen, if we get like a daily open and close below 30k, and if we can't reclaim the 30k as support, so what if we lose the 30k as support and we fail to reclaim that, so that's a bearish retest of the 30k area? Well, if that's the case, I think we have a prolonged bear market on our hands, and we are most likely going much lower for a long period of time, and I will look for some type of accumulation pattern happening on the higher time frames, somewhere inside the high time frame reload zone right here. So guys, levels to watch right now is 30k and 33k. I am bullishly biased, but it's not looking pretty. There's a lot of blood and fear in the market, but you guys know what? The best trades are taken when you buy the fear and the blood, but you have to at least wait for some type of low to medium time frame bullish break in market structure. All right guys, that's it for me for today. And if you guys like these free content videos that we're publishing here on our YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And the more subscribes and the more likes we get, obviously that's going to be a sign to us that we should create more content for you guys. All right guys, trade safe, and please do not overtrade in these market conditions. There's always going to be a trade tomorrow, next week, or even next month if this is just going to continue to be choppy. All right guys, take care.